Hello, I'm Harp. Welcome to the Rule Book Room, where we build our confidence by letting basic knowledge guide us. Today, we will discuss a case named P versus K, which is 1982 Bombay High Court judgment. It deals with Section 12 of Hindu Marriage Act of 1955 that provides for annulment of a marriage. When the statute was enacted with matrimonial remedies like nullity of marriage and divorce, it brought fundamental changes to the ancient concept of Hindu marriage. Ancient Hindu marriage is a sacramental, or sacrosanct, or sacred, or a pious union. It is a union of two persons for eternity. Dissolution for marriage is an alien concept to ancient Hindu marriage. But the modern legal framework acknowledged the realities of marriage and therefore it did not refrain from extending relief in case of grievances. Section 12 defines voidable marriages, providing four grounds to which either of the party can seek annulment. Please notice two expressions used by the section: shall be voidable and may be annulled. Shall be voidable reflects that the provision renders the marriage voidable, but may be annulled ascertain that the parties have a discretion. They may decide to annul the marriage, and at their instance, the court will move in the direction of declaring an annulment. We already know that to invoke a court's jurisdiction is to place before it evidence that merits the plea of annulment. So the petitioner who seeks annulment bears the burden to prove that the marriage is voidable due to any of the four reasons given under Section 12. So, what is the mystery? Let's unveil the four grounds of Section 12. First ground is the impotence of either party. Second ground relates to the unsoundness of mind. Third ground relates to consent, but its scope is limited. And fourth ground is respondent's pregnancy by a person other than the petitioner. Clause A of subsection 1 of Section 12 is a ground available to either husband or wife. The ground is of impotency. There can be many reasons as to why two persons get married. These involve emotional and personal reasons, social and cultural reasons, legal and financial reasons. Starting a family is the main one. There is a lot of emphasis put on procreation of children within a marriage to see family legacy lives on in perpetuity through children. First ground is therefore relevant, which allows an aggrieved party to seek annulment because the marriage was not consummated, reason being impotency of the respondent. We will revisit this ground to understand the meaning of impotence as interpreted by the Bombay High Court in P versus K. Second ground relates to unsoundness of mind as provided under Section 5, Clause 2, which we discussed in a previous podcast. You can visit or revisit that video. I will leave the link for you in the description box. Third ground relates to the consent of one of the parties to the marriage. If the consent is obtained by fraud or force, then the party whose consent was obtained like that can get the marriage annulled. But you will have to notice that Section 12 is not giving full meaning to the word consent. So if you were merely reluctant to get married, or you didn't explicitly give consent, but left the other party to assume the consent, especially within the arranged marriage setup, where family or friends or relatives set up the marriage, and we are too nice to oblige. This is not a case fit for annulment on grounds of consent, which only have a limited scope. The consent under Section 12 is either taken by force or by fraud. Fraud also have a limited meaning. First meaning is a fraud relating to the ceremony of the marriage. Remember, Section 7 states that any of the ceremony of either party can be performed to solemnize the marriage. So an innocent party can be duped into believing that they are undergoing some valid ceremony of the other party to solemnize their marriage, but they are not. Now, of course, that ceremony can be a make-believe scenario, If so, then the aggrieved party has a remedy to ask for annulment. Coming back to fraud, the second meaning which has been given by the statute is fraud as to any material fact or circumstance relating to the respondent. What is material? Court has never provided what they call a straitjacket formula to define what is material. What courts have stated is that what is material is a question to be answered depending on facts of each case. Like concealing a previous marriage is material, concealing diseases like HIV, AIDS is material, but salary was 10,000 and not 20,000 is not material. Courts have avoided taking into account all misrepresentations, even if intentional, as a ground for annulment, which does not vitiate the fundamental consent to marry the person as they truly are. Because courts are hesitant to allow marriages to be easily annulled for such reasons as it would open the floodgates for parties to seek annulment based on trivial or easily discoverable factors, undermining the stability of marital relationships. So, only material facts or circumstances relating to the respondent are entertained. Finally, the fourth ground under Section 12 for annulment of the marriage is pregnancy of respondent. This becomes an issue because pregnancy of the respondent is from another person, not the petitioner. Naturally, this ground is available to only a Hindu husband. Now, coming back to the case at hand, P versus K, it is a landmark judgment helping us understand the first and third grounds of annulment. The husband in this case had filed a petition against the wife on grounds provided under Clause A of subsection 1 of Section 12 and Clause C of subsection 1 of Section 12. Husband was 36 and wife was 27 years old. They got married in the year 1976 in June, and in November itself, husband filed for annulment. He stated that wife was incapable of consummating the marriage owing to impotency, and at the beginning of the marriage, the wife already stated that she will not have sexual intercourse for a year. No reason as to why. Wife was upset at husband's approach to consummate the marriage, but she disallowed all his attempts. Husband, at the instance of elders, took her to the pilgrimage to obtain divine blessings for a child, but on returning, husband realized this religious visit was futile too. When the wife's father had visited them, he also got to know about this marital issue, but he did not respond favorably as expected by the husband, and the wife's attitude continued. Thereafter, the husband discovered that the wife was suffering from a medical condition, second-degree prolapse of uterus. From the conduct of the wife and her parents, it was clear this relevant information was concealed by them to obtain his consent for the marriage. So he is asking for annulment on grounds of impotence and fraud. When we look at the ground of fraud, the amendment of 1976 of Hindu Marriage Act of 1955 is relevant and was noticed by the judgment. The court noted that prior to 1976, interpretation of fraud in Section 12, subsection 1, Clause C, earlier cases like Raghunath Gopal versus Vijaya Raghunath, had given a narrow interpretation holding that fraud did not mean fraudulent representation or concealment in the broad sense of the Contract Act. It was largely confined to fraud regarding the nature of the ceremony or the identity of the party. Misrepresentation about health like curable epilepsy in Raghunath Gopal was not considered sufficient. However, the 1976 amendment explicitly added the phrase or as to any material fact or circumstance concerning the respondent. The Bombay High Court held that this amendment significantly broadened the scope of fraud. It signaled a legislative intent to include concealments or misrepresentations of facts that are material to the marriage. The court then defined what constitutes a material fact under the amended section 12(1)(c). It held that a fact or circumstance is material if it is of such a nature as would materially interfere with the marital life and pleasure, including sexual pleasure. Applying this to the facts, the court found that the concealment of a known second degree uterine prolapse by the wife and her parents was indeed a material fact. This condition directly impacted her ability or willingness to engage in sexual intercourse, which is an integral part of the marital life. He likely would have not consented to the marriage or would have consented with full knowledge. The Bombay High Court in P versus K referred to Summer versus Snigdha as an example of judicial interpretation expanding the concept of impotency beyond mere physical inability to include psychological or medical conditions that prevent consummation, thereby strengthening its own argument that wife's persistent refusal coupled with prolapse in P versus K constituted impotency. I'm reading an indented paragraph from passage 22 verbatim to you. Sexual intercourse or consummation is sometimes referred to as vera copula. Vera copula consists of erection and intromission, that is, of erection and penetration by the male of the woman. Full and complete penetration is an essential ingredient of ordinary and complete intercourse. The degree of sexual satisfaction obtained by the parties is irrelevant. Thus, where the respondent wife was suffering from the disease of vaginismus and the coitus or complete penetration was not possible, it was held that petitioner was entitled to a decree. On reading this passage, it becomes clear that basically vera copula is the Latin term for true or complete sexual intercourse. For it to count as vera copula, two things must happen. First is erection, that is, the male must have an erection. And second is intromission or penetration, that the male must penetrate the woman. The key here is full and complete penetration. It's not about how much pleasure either party gets. That's irrelevant in the eyes of laws when defining vera copula. A husband, the petitioner, was seeking a divorce decree. His wife, the respondent, had a condition called vaginismus, which made complete penetration impossible. Because vera copula could not happen due to this physical barrier, the court in Summer versus Snigdha ruled in favor of the husband, granting him the decree. In family law, especially concerning annulments or divorces based on non-consummation of marriage, the concept of vera copula becomes crucial. If a marriage cannot be consummated, it can be a ground for legal action. In P versus K, the Bombay High Court notes 2 points in favor of the husband on the ground of impotency. First, it was proved that the wife was reluctant to consummate the marriage, which is a mental difficulty. And second, because of the condition of second degree prolapse uterus, the intercourse was not possible without manipulation with hands, which is a physical difficulty. Therefore, the husband was entitled to get annulment on both the grounds, impotence as well as fraud. Well, thank you all for listening. Until next time, bye.